A Treasure Planet remake can fix Disney's live-action adaptation problem. Disney has a problem to fix with its live-action remakes, and looking at movies like Treasure Planet could provide the ideal solution. Disney's live-action remakes have been a mixed bag so far. The critical successes have been few and far between, while the failures have been truly dreadful. The studio still hasn't convinced audiences or critics that remaking the best Disney animated movies is a worthwhile pursuit. The accusations that these remakes represent a dearth of originality seem more credible than ever, but there could be a way forward for Disney. After Snow White's disappointing critical and commercial performance, fresh reports have surfaced which suggest that Disney may be reassessing its live-action remake plans. While there are still a few remakes on the way, starting with Lilo and Stitch, Disney might rethink the other projects in the pipeline. Stopping live-action remakes is one possibility, but Disney's plan can still bear fruit if the studio chooses the right movies. Some underrated gems like Treasure Planet could be the ideal candidates for the live-action treatment. Of all Disney's underrated animated movies, Treasure Planet is one which seems perfectly suited for a live-action remake. It was released during a transitional period for the studio, between the glory days of the so-called Disney Renaissance and the success of 3D computer-generated movies like Tangled and Frozen. While mainstream animation had mainly moved on, with other studios making movies like Monsters, Incorporated, and Shrek, Treasure Planet was Disney's attempt at blazing their own trail. This gives it a unique aesthetic that blends the charms of 2D animation with the spectacle of 3D. Treasure Planet has all the bearings of a jaw-dropping live-action movie, with a sci-fi concept that naturally lends itself to broad, sweeping shots of the cosmos. Based on Robert Louis Stevenson's classic adventure novel Treasure Island, Disney's movie recaptures the same swashbuckling sense of exploration. It updates the old pirate story for a new era, as space has become the new frontier for explorers and dreamers alike. A live-action remake could also add more weight to the action scenes, and it would be interesting to see how Disney might render some of the quirky animated characters in a more realistic setting. One major positive of adapting a slightly less popular movie like Treasure Planet is that it wouldn't suffer from the same comparisons as other remakes. With Disney's biggest classics, like The Lion King, fans already have strong opinions about whether a remake is necessary and how exactly it should look. This partly explains why audience reaction to The Lion King was so polarized. Of course, some fans would still have the same opinions about Treasure Planet or any other Disney movie, but the backlash wouldn't be nearly as severe. This means that the production could take more risks. One of the most common criticisms aimed towards Disney's live-action remakes is that there's no need to tamper with classic movies. Films like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast are just as entertaining as ever, and the remakes risked damaging their reputation. Treasure Planet isn't at the same level of popularity as these other Disney classics, so a live-action remake could actually be beneficial to the original, since it would likely introduce the movie to a bigger audience. For many people, the remake would be their first experience of the story. Treasure Planet isn't the only Disney movie which deserves a live-action remake. The studio has many underrated gems which deserve another look, or films with great concepts that could use a more refined execution. By reaching deep into the archives, Disney could find the movies that would work best in live action. The obvious problem with this approach is that more popular movies are seen as more prudent investments. Adapting less popular movies would be a bigger risk, but it could be a risk worth taking for Disney if they want to regain their critical reputation as a creator of original and exciting movies.